30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a rainy night in Georgia. Actually, let's call it a rainy afternoon in Nashville. About every 30 minutes, we get a downpour. So if you don't like what it looks like, give it a few minutes. Something else will happen. We're at the beautiful Ford Ice Center, where I'm about to admit to something that if Kelly had gotten to see it, he would have been howling in laughter. Let's bring him up. Kelly, how are you?
I'm doing good, Al Roker. How you doing?
Okay, so here's what happened.
All right.
So I go out this morning to walk. I've got a nice course set up. Kelly, this is not the first time I've walked. I know, you try to make it out like I weigh 400 pounds, and I don't. Could things improve? Certainly they could, but it's not the way you try to let people think it. So I'm out there walking, and I get about 8 to 10 minutes from home, and the bottom fell out. I mean, it absolutely fell out. So I decide that I'm going to get under somebody's tree and, hope that lightning doesn't strike me. So I get under the tree, and, you're getting little drops at a time. But then there's a second wave. Okay. And I just said to hell with it. And I ran home.
No.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way.
Oh, yeah.
You ran home.
I ran home. So the stuff that I have on right now, an hour and a half ago, bad. Really bad. And all I could think of, instead of just, isn't it a shame you got wet? I was like, oh my God, if Kelly saw this.
Hey, did you not watch the forecast today? I mean, it's off and on rain shower. So why don't you take a rain jacket?
It wouldn't have mattered. The bottom fell. I'm not talking about a little drizzle here, Hoss. We're talking about a deluge.
I wish I could have seen that. I would have taken a video and I would have sent it all over. It would have been viral by now.
Yeah.
How fast do you think George was running? Like slow motion or?
It's not fast at all now, David. Like it's
like a.
It's like a fast walk. It's a fast walk.
5.6 in the 40.
It's a fast walk, is what it was.
David, thank you for your contributions.
You're welcome, George.
Yeah. Billy, how are you today? Hopefully your attitude is improved.
I'm great. What's up? You think my attitude's bad?
Before the show, you had some attitude issues.
There's a cliche for that. It's called piss poor. Your attitude was piss poor when you came on.
I was going to use this word. Kelly admonished you.
But the viewers don't see the before the show stuff, so it's okay. You can present it differently for the viewers.
Oh,
try us one, Billy. Nobody cares, dude.
So that was so phony.
Kelly, they don't see that. So
Kelly hurt his feelings.
Hey, you know what Coach Donnelly used to tell us? We don't need to hear about the labor pain, son. Just show me the baby.
Want to see the baby.
All right. We don't need to hear about it.
Here's another one. If life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
There you go.
Yeah.
Kelly, you hurt his feelings yesterday when you were talking about his sunburn and his mom.
Oh, did I?
Having to rub aloe vera on him.
Mommy having to rub aloe vera. She probably made him some warm milk, too.
Some warm milk. I don't even know how to respond to Kelly sometimes.
Have you ever heard of sunscreen?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, you haven't. You don't ever need it.
Wow.
Well, that's good, George. You're Greek.
I mean, that's not a bad thing. You don't need it.
The olive look.
Yeah.
No, you have to use this stuff, whether you got a little olive going or not.
Billy's family tree comes from Norway, no doubt.
You have what we would describe as pale.
Pale, fair
Pale.
skin.
He
Yeah.
could get
Very much so.
sunburned. He could get sunburned by the moon.
Billy burns to the color of his shirt right now. That's how he looks.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty similar right now.
I want to take a moment, though, before we really get started and commend Dan Williams, who is risking life and limb for us to see Oral Roberts against TCU. Dan, thank you.
At the
You
beckoning of
realize
George.
if he falls, it's on us.
It's all your fault.
Okay, so is there like an update at any point in our future?
There is an update,
Uh-huh.
George. We start in the
Is it of
College World
today's
Series.
stuff or
A
yesterday's?
little bit of yesterday, a little bit of
Oh.
today.
Yesterday's news is over. Let's get on to today. Don't you think, Kelly?
I agree. I'm just upset that Billy made me put the camera down, and now my forehead's in the Plaster show, the George Plaster show.
Oh, you know what? Well, hold on a second. Why did you do that? He's right. Why did you do that to him?
He said
Yeah,
deal
Billy,
with
tell
it,
us.
Kelly. He said deal with it.
Kelly, grow up a little bit. Come on.
I'll say
am-
it's an improvement.
Oh, here we go. Don't start that, because people need to see you combing your hair before the show. That's what they need to see.
Hold on. Where's the comb?
You've
What
got a
is this
comb.
show?
That's so 1980s. Dude.
I don't think there's an update. in
Oh,
our
you know,
future.
lighten up.
Hey, George looked like sculling it off Revenge of the Nerds. He had a comb with all his pins in his button, in his button-up shirt.
Go to the update.
Oh my gosh! Last night or yesterday, rather, Tennessee knocks off Stanford 6-4. Their first
Yeah,
win in
that was
Omaha in
yesterday.
22 years.
That was yesterday.
So you don't want to talk about what happened yesterday?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I thought we would be updating people on today's activities.
Yeah, today's activities: Earl Roberts and TCU.
Let me tell you
let's get to
something.
that one.
Let me tell you something, Kelly. This little update needs to be about today. This ruins his whole deal.
Hey,
Yeah, I
sorry,
put in
Billy, because
effort,
this
and
is
then
the,
George goes, "No, we don't talk about what happened yesterday."
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
I'll
We
tell
always
Tony
talk about
George
what
doesn't want to
happened
talk about Tennessee today.
No, that's not.
That's the way
not-
you're acting right
That's sports talk. This is what are the updates of the day?
now. Okay,
Billy's
of-
pissy today. I'm
of
Oh,
telling
I
you.
know
today.
he is.
Of today, Oral Roberts. David just had it up.
Uh-huh.
TCU leads Oral Roberts 1-0 in the top of the fourth.
Dan has gotten us to where it says, welcome, bienvenido, bienvenue.
Spanish, George.
Hold on. Do we not give Dan a round of applause or something? I mean, man, work. Yeah. Okay, so Tennessee plays LSU tonight. Now, that's the way you could couch the whole thing to get to tonight's activity.
I was going to recap yesterday, but of course you don't want to hear that. So
I want to hear
I mean,
I would like
you
to
want
hear it.
to hear it? Okay,
Yes.
then
Yeah.
do it for Kelly.
somebody's smart enough to want to hear what happened yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Chase Burns came to the rescue for Tennessee. 6 innings, 2 hits, and 9 strikeouts. He now has a .56 ERA in the NCAA tournament, and it's going to be interesting to see if and when he pitches again.
It ain't
That-
going to be tonight.
Nope.
No, it will not be tonight.
He may not lift his arm tonight.
Well, he only threw about 60 pitches, so it's not like he couldn't go here in a couple days if he has
Yeah,
to.
yeah, and I would expect that may happen if they get that far.
Yeah. Wake Forest, of course, knocked off LSU last night, so LSU and Tennessee tonight at 6 o'clock. Oral Roberts, TCU right now.
Here's a thought. Wake Forest is the 1 seed. Okay. And early on, I kept hearing how great they are and this, that, and the other. I don't know about it. They have won 2 games by about that much. Now, they are wins, but are they the best team in this field? I'm not sure about that.
Style points don't matter though. You'll take
That's
the
right.
win all the
A
time.
win is a win.
You'll take ugly wins, but there's no such thing as pretty losses.
They're
seems
going to
like-
have to score more.
But it seems like they've got a lot of depth in their pitching staff, is it not?
Yeah.
I mean, they got a bunch.
They are loaded in their pitching staff. They still got 2 guys that haven't pitched yet that are, 2 of their better pitchers. So
I asked,
It'll be
I
interesting.
asked David before the show, what did y'all think about the home plate ump? Was he inconsistent or was it just me?
No, he had some issues last night. His strike zone
It's changing all the time.
Yeah, he extended his strike zone to about 24 inches.
Yeah, it was.
But it's for both teams. Both
Yeah.
teams, these games have had to adjust to that, to the strike zone being widened and then elongated as well.
The key is how quick do the pitchers figure out, because every umpire is a little bit different. One guy will give you outside corner at the knees. Next guy will give you high and tight. It's up to the pitcher to figure that out.
Right.
The quicker, the better, and then use it to his advantage.
Yeah.
Right.
It all depends on what side of the plate he's leaning on as well. What side of the plate he's set up on, he'll probably favor that side because he's got a direct view at it compared to the opposite side of the plate.
The catcher has such a big role in all of this too. If you can't frame well enough as a catcher, you're not helping your pitcher out. And there was a couple times yesterday where, they'll drop one that might have looked like a strike, but if you drop it and it kind of trickles back to the fence, they're not going to call that.
Ball two.
But my whole deal is being traditional, but that screams for digital stuff coming in. When you got a guy that is so inconsistent like that, then you put an earplug in somebody's ear and tell him if it's a ball or a strike, which I don't like. But when you get a guy like that, 1 out of 10, maybe, I don't know, it screams for that.
Yeah, I think that's where we're trending. And,
we're trending that way, but I'm going to tell you something. When they do that, there's going to be a point where they're going to wish those umpires were back.
Yeah, we were talking earlier today. There's still going to be argument over balls and strikes, whether it's a human or a robot.
Yeah.
It's baseball fans. They're never going to not argue balls and strikes. Speaking of baseball, George, last night Joey Votto made his presence felt in his first major league game in almost a year. After multiple surgeries and retirement speculation, he went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and smashed a home run to left field. And these Cincinnati Reds are fun to watch. 9 straight wins. They're in a tie for first in the NL Central. That's a fun team to watch.
They
young
are really
team
fun.
too.
I'm going to see them in a couple of days. Half their starting lineup, nobody could tell you. They've got a bunch of young guys. Nick Senzel, who played at the University of Tennessee, is one of them. He hit a solo homer last night. Good for them. It's nice to see that ballpark hopping a little bit. I've been there a few times where it was me and Patty Hurst. She was hiding up in the upper deck, and not much else. So I'm glad to see it. Good for the Reds. Maybe not good this weekend, but good for the Reds.
No. Well, another news in the MLB, The Athletic put out a survey today. They released it on Twitter. I think they wrote a piece about it too. Major league players say Nashville is by far the best city for an expansion team. 69% of the players polled told The Athletic that Music City should be next to have a team. And Montreal, Charlotte, and Austin, Texas were behind, but pretty far behind in that poll. So I saw that today. I thought that was interesting, especially with a lot of the talk with Danny that's going on.
It was interesting on a Yankee broadcast recently, and I don't know if it was Paul O'Neill or David Cohn, threw out Nashville and Salt Lake City as the 2 leaders. And that the Salt Lake City one I had really not heard a lot about. Look, Nashville is going to be in the discussion. The question is, have we got the money to pay for a stadium? And who is the owner? And at the moment, we got no owner. At the moment.
Why don't you go try to be the owner there, George?
Yeah. That'll work real well.
He's got cobwebs in that thing in his back
MLB
pocket.
Hey,
will be
a little light back there, Hoss.
MLB will be like, what do you got? And that's about all we got.
I think Nashville will be a great place, though. I mean, it's already there. We support the Titans. They support the Predators. They support the Nashville Sounds really well. I remember as a kid growing up, going to the old stadium, and I enjoyed it. There's nothing better than watching minor league baseball and getting a helmet with some ice cream in it. That was awesome. So these people around here would support it. But you're right. Everything boils down to money, George.
We'll see. We shall see. Last piece here, J.J. Watt to the booth, ? He might be headed as an analyst. According to Andrew Marchand of the New York Post, Watt reportedly has multiple offers on the table to join TV networks as an analyst. CBS is the favorite to land him, while NBC and the NFL Network have also expressed interest. So CBS would be adding him to their current group of analysts instead of having him replace someone else, which obviously he would join an already strong group. But we'll see. I think Watt would do great.
Oh, I think so too. He's really well spoken. He's incredibly popular. Think about the fundraising he did, and I'm trying to think, was it a hurricane relief?
Yeah, it was I guess he did he donate?
Oh, he raised just bukus of money.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good man.
He's one of the better human beings in the NFL right now.
If he goes to NFL Network, they'll put him on their pregame on nights that they've got a game. Their pregame for a 7 p.m. start begins at 9 a.m.
It's interesting to see some of that, though. It's interesting to see some of that because some guys that play try to go to the booth and they're not very good, but they're good in the studio.
Yeah.
And then some guys that are in the studio try to go do play-by-play and color, and they're terrible. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do it.
Studio feels a little bit more laid back. You're with your buddies. You're kind of chopping it up. You're in the booth. It's like official.
Well, you're being talked to during a game, and that screws up some of them.
Hey, it messed me up the first few times I did the state championship games.
Yeah.
They were talking in my ear, and I was trying to talk. I was trying to say something, and I just totally stopped. But now doing that like 10 years or 12 years, I mean, it's just commonplace now. But it's tough to get used to.
A great director can really make you look good, and a bad one can make you look like a total dope. They've got control if they want it.
That's right.
So just you remember that, Billy.
Oh, I will.
Are you done?
I'm done.
You're done.
That's it.
Okay. After the break, Tony Basilio will join us from Knoxville, and we will preview tonight's Tennessee LSU game. It's a big one. Obviously, they all are at the College World Series, and who knows what else we'll get into with him as well. Braves and Phillies he'll want to talk about. His Phillies have to have 2 out of 3 to start this series in Philadelphia. Anyway, we'll go to our first break from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. We are coming back.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Lanes. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over. Oh, yeah. Rocky Top. Yeah, play it. Play it. Kelly, cheer a little bit. Come on.
Yeah, no.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm not
Come
not Tony Basilio. I'm not a never be in charge.
You can do it, Cal. Come on, man.
No, I
do it,
can't.
brother.
What
I'm
did
sorry,
he do
man.
to
I'm just
deserve that cheap shot?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What did I do to deserve that cheap shot?
I'm sorry, man. I'm really sorry. I just had to show my feelings there. I just am not a UT guy. My bad.
Come on, man. Clubs won a Orange Bowl, went to the Sweet 16 in basketball, Women's College World Series in softball.
When I was growing,
to LSU tonight. Come on, man.
Hey, when I was growing up, Tony,
here, room on the wagon, brother.
Hey Tony, when I was growing up, now it was UT Alabama every year, and I couldn't stand. I lived right close to the Alabama border, so
Yeah.
you were either a UT or Alabama fan. I couldn't stand UT, but they were always good.
And they always lost that game. They always lost that game, Kelly.
Yeah.
That didn't go
And
too
then I can
well.
remember one year where they beat Bear Bryant, and I was really upset. I think I probably cried as a young kid.
1982.
That warms my heart, man. That warms my heart.
So, Tony, all kidding aside,
Yeah.
Tennessee goes down 4-0 yesterday, really early. I was impressed with the stick-to-itiveness. That could have been a 9-1, and they roll out of there and head back to Knoxville. And instead, they got it done.
Chase Dolander, Billy Derrick texted me yesterday. Chase Dolander, they got him in the third inning, and they threw the young man in from Nashville, Chase Burns, who just shoved. I mean, as they say in baseball parlance, he just went out yesterday and balled out. Georgia gave up 2 hits in the final 6 innings in a relief role. And if Tony Vitello didn't go out there and get him, Tennessee wouldn't be there. And a lot of managers would not have had the guts to go get the first-round pick after 3 innings. I mean, that might be the last time we see Dolander in a Tennessee uniform. But Chase Burns yesterday was, he's just been lights out. I mean, look how big he is. Look at it. Look at that forearm right there. Good gosh. Anyway, he was letting it go yesterday. And he had a breaking ball yesterday we haven't seen. He almost debuted a new pitch. It was almost unfair. The kids from Stanford who have been to the College World Series 3 consecutive times, literally in the middle innings, just put their bats down. You could see their shoulders slump. You watch that sport enough, and you can see when another team's body language goes. And there's nothing worse than, and I played that sport, there's nothing worse than when you're facing somebody you can't hit as a team. Like everybody knows, we're not hitting this guy today. It's a bad feeling. Of course, I had that feeling all the time, but I would watch the better hitters in our lineup be able to hit, but nobody was going to solve him yesterday, George. Nobody.
It's a little bit like when they hand you the final exam, you open it up, you take a look, and you go, I got no chance.
Right.
And let me be honest, I majored in summer school.
I don't blame you. If you're a broadcasting person, chances are you're probably not the brightest or sharpest tool in the shed. Although I think you have like a science degree, don't you? Didn't I hear that somewhere?
Political science.
Okay. Well, that's a science.
I found the easiest stuff I could find. So let's get serious for just a minute. The College World Series, especially when you start out in the losers bracket, becomes a war of attrition of pitching arms.
Yep.
Kind of tell us, if Tennessee were to win tonight, then they've got to get by Wake Forest a couple of times.
Yep.
What do they have in the pitching tank?
A ton. Tennessee's advantage the entire time is and was, as they're built by Tony Vitello, to get in this tournament, and they can wind their way through this type of format because they can outlast people. The truth is tonight, while Tennessee has 9 solid choices, LSU has 2 guys that they can count on they're going to throw. They're both right-handers or left-handers, George. One is Coleman, the other one's Cooper, who threw a few pitches the other night. And truthfully, Tennessee has a huge edge. And then if they get to tomorrow, they could throw a Xander Seacrest out there, who was their midweek starter all year, did a really nice job for them. They could go back to Seth Halverson, who was a Friday night starter at Missouri. I mean, they have multiple, and I mean multiple pitching options, as many as 4 or 5 tomorrow that they could use. I mean, they have such a commanding edge tonight that, I mean, I had Ron Higgins on my daily show today, and Ron's with Tiger Details, but he's been down those parts for a long time. And his comment was that LSU's in big trouble because that's why LSU played last night's game with a real sense of urgency, the way they used all their frontline guys to try and get through Wake Forest. But it wasn't enough. And even at that, the deeper they went into their bullpen last night, it was diminishing returns. That will really be the case tonight. LSU better put 10 runs up. They better do something they haven't done or didn't do earlier in the year, and that's get to Drew Beam, another one of these mid-state stars who grew up playing football in high school, and his nickname in these parts is QB1. And George, Tennessee's got put it this way. Every game LSU's played so far in the postseason, they have been a huge favorite, including the first time these two teams played. When Paul Skeens is on the mound and you're facing him, and I know you're a baseball fan like I am, it's not fair. I mean, it's ridiculous how good he is. Tonight, and this will be the first time that LSU either goes off as a slight dog or just a slight favorite. These two teams in the betting markets right now are neck and neck, and that's the first time all year that's been the case with LSU. So there's a reason for that. Tennessee has an embarrassment of riches in their bullpen, just an embarrassment, and many arms to throw at LSU. And then tomorrow at Wake Forest. And then you can get back around after that. You can come back to perhaps Lindsey. Perhaps you could throw Dolander on short rest, who didn't exceed a pitching limit. I mean, there's multiple options that they can get by tonight and extend Wake Forest for a game.
You know this better than I do. Mm-hmm. Burns last night was unhittable. How long do they have to hold him? Is this a deal where he'll say to Vitello tomorrow, I'm available if you need me?
No, because he exceeded a pitch limit. I'll look that up for you real quick, because I don't, the whole college baseball thing to me is kind of I don't know. Is it a new thing? I don't know what it is. But I received this earlier today, and I'll just read it to you because it's worth noting. Of course, I'm choking right now. It's worth noting that they try to protect these guys, and they have rules in place in terms of the number of pitches you can throw. I do believe that the number of pitches that he threw means he's got to sit at least 2 days and maybe to a third. Here it is. I'll share it with you if you have a second. The way it works is no college baseball pitcher can exceed 110 pitches per game. If that threshold is passed, then the pitcher has to be able to throw at least 3 more. He cannot throw for 3 more days. Also, if you pitch from 76 to 110, it's a 3-day pitch count or 3 days off. So he's in that window. So he's down for 3 days.
And Tony, you might as well call it the R.A. Dickey rule.
Right.
What was it? It was something like 182 pitches against Arizona State. I mean,
crazy.
Today, it'd be called cruel and inhumane.
Yeah. And there's a kid from Stanford, the kid Tennessee faced yesterday, threw 156, George, in their win against Texas. Imagine that in Major League Baseball. If a guy threw one, when we were kids, guys that go out there and finish games, we didn't even count pitches when I was a kid coming up watching baseball. It was understood. If you were a starter and you got the ball and you had good stuff, you'd finish the game. I mean, it didn't matter but this kid threw 156. Yesterday, George, he had nothing left. Tennessee first pitch swung on him. They timed him. His changeup was not there yesterday because his other stuff wasn't good, and he couldn't fool anybody with his changeup. So everybody's human. Dolander did the same thing. Dolander against Southern Miss got well over 100 in the heat and humidity, and yesterday he looked like there was not much left for him. So it's Tennessee's in a decent spot if they can get by this thing, George. They could really make it interesting against Wake Forest. They really could.
They sure are. Now, I'm going to give you some cannon fodder for tonight, and then I want you to tell me when you're on the air tonight, and then I'll turn it to Kelly.
Right.
In the last, I'm going to say 15 to 20 years, the highest pitch count that I can remember of a major league pitcher was David Cone, 161 in a game, and I think it was against Oakland, and he was never the same after that. Tony, in the last 5 years, I can't find anybody that's gotten to 130.
Friend of mine went to a no-hitter last year and 3 pitchers pitched. And he said it was the weirdest thing in the world. I mean, do you cheer that? Like when we were kids and a guy was throwing a no-hitter, you never took him out of the game. He would fight you. If a manager would have gone out there to the mound and gotten one of those guys back then, George, he would have punched him in the face. He said, "Get off my mound." Today, here's the ball. And hey, I get it. It's big money. Somebody asked me today, is it possible, before we were looking at the pitch count stuff, that they would let Paul Skeens throw tonight? And I said, absolutely not. There is no way Paul Skeens would ever take the mound knowing that he's the first pick in the draft. I mean, why would he? Why would he take a ball tonight? There's no way I'm doing that.
Not only that, they'd fly in from Pittsburgh and who knows.
Exactly.
God, can you imagine? So,
exactly.
Okay, the game's at 6 o'clock Nashville time, 7 o'clock where you are Eastern Standard, Eastern Daylight.
Right.
So what about afterwards?
So we've been on after each and every game. Yesterday I did a watch party, and then I did the post-game show, and then went upstairs and worked on my blog for a couple of hours and basically fell asleep on the couch. I didn't move. Extremely tiring. Tennessee's lost 3 or 4 to these guys, but these guys are out of pitching. And I have a feeling that we're going to have a celebratory post-game show tonight. If Vols win 2 here, this will tie the furthest they've ever gone in the College World Series, which, George, for a team that was left for dead at midseason, pretty good coaching job and pretty good feat by these guys to get this far. Really fun stuff.
Hard to argue that. By the way, Braves, Phillies, you need 2 out. You got to have 2 out of 3 against me.
Well, I'm playing for a wild card. Look, I let the good organizations win divisions. I'm worried about, the way I see the Braves is, George, the Braves are living in a house that I could never afford. So why would I even look at it? Now, when the playoffs come around, and that's the randomness of baseball, George, if I would have told you that my Phillies would have done that to you guys in the playoffs last year.
Oh, smoked us.
I mean, it makes no sense. And that's
and the
what
year
they've done to
before,
Major League
the Braves
Baseball.
weren't the best team when they won it all.
They turned it into a tournament sport.
Yeah.
It's the hottest and healthiest team.
Let's get to housing. for a minute. Let's bring Kelly Holcomb up here.
Yes.
Okay. Kelly would be New York Yankees housing. Washington Nats.
Washington Nats, huh? It's pretty expensive up there too, George.
Me, Oakland A's.
Wow, he's got a possum.
That's hilarious. Funny. George, you need any more questions, man?
No,
you took 45 minutes.
You know what? Just do your thing.
Well, what I was going to ask is, obviously, you just talked about it, but Tony Vitello for this whole year, and we've talked about it before, he's made some unbelievable situational deals where he's picked the right guy, and you even said it with the Dolander kid. But the burning question I wanted to ask you was, when they got the Skeens kid coming, and they know he's going to pitch the first game, it just seemed to me like, Tony, that they went out there with the deal, and he's got them to where he's wanted them, obviously. They won a game, and they got LSU again, which probably Skeens is not going to pitch. But the first game, it seemed just like they were, if they got a chance to get up on him, or if he wasn't pitching well, they were into it. But then when he started pitching well, it's like, yeah, we can't hit this guy. That's what it seemed like to me. Now, I don't know if that's the case. You're the UT guy. That's just what it felt like to me, just watching the first of the game. It's like, yeah, we can't. I mean, he's really good. We can't hit him. Did it feel that way to you?
Well, did you ever play baseball?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. At my high school, we played a guy one time who was a high pick of the Yankees who ended up getting hurt. But I was used to facing high school pitching. And this son of a gun was, he wasn't this guy. But it was the velocity on the ball and the way it was moving, we had no chance. We knew we had no chance. And Tennessee the other night, that was kind of them. And Paul Skeens is that good. The problem with LSU is you can only throw him once every 4 days or every 5 days in the college game. And again, the guy threw like 124 pitches the other day. Kelly, 122. Pitch 122 was 101 miles an hour. Is that any good? I mean, this guy is either like Superman or he's taking some vitamins that I want.
Yeah.
Because that's unbelievable. I mean, that guy was getting stronger as the game was going along. Well, Tony Vitello told me last year when they were sort of chasing him around, I said, man, I heard this guy's name, blah, 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 off the record. He said, Tony, this guy's like from another planet. He said, this guy catches, can throw people out off his knees, hits long home runs. Like this guy can do anything he wants to do on a baseball field. It just so happens that he's of everything, he's just a pitcher. Tennessee had zero chance the other night. And I mean, probably less than zero of hitting that guy. Just wasn't going to happen.
I was listening to the guys on the broadcast the other night. Is he the best college pitcher you've seen? They talk about like he was over 140 something times in that game. So I don't know if I've ever, of course, I don't keep up with baseball like y'all do, but I've been watching it now and just watching that guy, man, he's big, he's physical. He looks like a tight end and he can throw it that hard. But has there ever been a kid? I mean, I guess you could look back at Roger Clemens or guys like that, but has there ever been somebody like him come along?
George is better at this than I am, but I was talking with a friend of mine who's in professional baseball. He's in Major League Baseball, but we're roughly the same age. He said that he coaches. He said that in his lifetime, Greg Swindell from Texas, Roger Clemens, Mark Pryor at USC, and this guy. He said, I put him in that category. In the modern era, he said, this dude right here is as good as they get. We can only talk about what we've seen, but for our era, I mean, you have no chance against the guy. None. And I'll say this for Tennessee. It's not like they've got some kind of super lineup anyway, but somehow they scratched out double-digit hits yesterday.
Yeah.
Which is as good as they're going to do. And truthfully, they scored 6 runs in a game, down 4-0 in the middle innings, and only had 1 extra base hit, 1 double. The rest of them were singles. It was all station to station, timely hitting. Don't try and do too much. It was a really solid win for them. And, you know, the thing is, if they can get to Wake Forest, I cannot underscore this enough. You know, to me, having a really good pitching staff is a lot like having a great defense in football. We tend to think of things in terms of offense in all our sports.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's why people don't like soccer, because there's not enough scoring in it. I happen to like soccer, but that's why people don't like it. But the truth is that you and I both know that the team with the best defense most times in football is going to win a game if you're okay at quarterback. Now, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win. But if you're okay at quarterback and you got a great defense, I'll bet on you.
Well, it used to be that way all the time, and now you see the Nick Sabans of the world understanding that, hey, we're going to have to outscore people at some point. That's why he's got those guys. So
that's true. Nobody defends anymore. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And you watch some of his teams, and I don't know, but Chase Burns, that was another talk about the situational decisions that he's made. What kind of decision did he make of taking him from a starter to being like a mid reliever or a closer? That's kind of unbelievable what that kid did the other day.
Burns didn't like it either.
No, I know. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I blame him, because he wasn't the only one not going well at the time, but his ERA was 13 in league play. 13.
Wow.
So something had to be done. Not only did they switch him, but they also plugged a guy in Friday night. They moved Dolander to Saturday night. They put Burns in the bullpen. And outside of one outing at South Carolina, Chase Burns, coming out of that bullpen, has been lights, and I mean lights out. And Kelly, his body language, the great Mark Griffin taught me all about the importance of, you know, body language in sports and to watch it in athletes. And this guy's got it in spades. I mean, you put the ball in his hands and he wants the ball. You know, and he doesn't want to be anywhere else but have that ball in his hands, on the pitching mound, game on the line. And somebody said something to me yesterday at our watch party that proved to be pretty prophetic, which was they brought him in at 4-0. And I was told, hey, watch if we can scratch a couple of runs across here and watch his body language. And sure enough, Kelly, when that score got kicked up to 4-4, when he took that mound, he was in like full alpha mode at that point, because those guys love getting engaged in competition. And I love guys that want to compete. I just think that's sometimes you can have world-class ability but not want to compete. And sometimes you can have the world-class ability and the want to compete. Those people are dangerous in any sport.
Well, his personality seems more like, you see his personality. That's kind of like who he is. Like a starter reminds me of kind of like a quarterback. You have to stay calm. You have to stay cool when everything's going on around you. But a closer, just go into the bar, just start punching people. Like that's kind of how he seems. And it seems like he's comfortable when the game's going on and he's got an overall outlook of what the game is. And he can come in and, man, yesterday he was unbelievable.
And he fashions himself as a starter.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think he's just been a revelation out of the bullpen. And if you look at that arm right there that you guys have up on the screen, I mean, that's a ripped up dude. Look at that guy. That does not look like a sophomore in college, 19-year-old kid. That's a guy you can tell. Look at that guy. He looks like a wrestler right there. That's a big old guy. That's a big guy I would not mess with. I'll tell you that. Look at
I used to have forearms like that, but not anymore, brother. It's that day's gone. So my last question is what's the key? What do you think the key is to the game today? What do they have to do? Just a different mindset going into the game. Obviously, they're not facing the number one pitcher going into it. So what's the key to this game?
Tennessee's got to, whoever LSU's starter is, they've got to get to that person early. There are two choices. Both guys are left-handers. Both guys aren't great. Today my LSU guest I had on, I said, instead of list the prospects for tonight, I said list the suspects for tonight for LSU's pitching staff. And he said that's exactly right. He said, because once you get past the first couple guys, it's a bunch of suspects in that bullpen. Tennessee's got to get to the suspects tonight. They do that, they're going to be in good shape.
Watch out for that Vandy transfer, Christian Little out of the pen, Tony.
Yeah, he's done a lot, man.
Oh yeah, a lot.
Yeah, he's lit it up, hasn't he?
No, it's funny. He's another guy out of the pen that we really haven't seen much of at all for LSU. I mean, they've got guys that haven't pitched in 2 or 3 months that they might have to play today. That's another aspect to this.
And you were texting me last night, and I wasn't selling for your text, but you were trying to tell me all the Vols were in good shape. See, he was trying to do a psyops on me. I know Billy.
A little double jinx
Billy was
there.
trying to play mind. He was trying to play mind games with me. I know Billy.
No, they're in good shape right now, Tony, especially against Wake. I think they've got a real shot.
Well, you know what? Again, my guy at some pro ball was telling me this today because he's looking at it a little bit. He said it looks like the Southeastern Conference, like they do in football. They just play a different game. There's like a different class of player compared to the ACC because those ACC hitters all have great numbers. But when they go against Southeastern Conference pitching, they're not lighting it up like they were supposed to, are they?
No, they're certainly not.
So,
it just means more.
Yeah. The slogan ought to be, we just pay more. Like we did in the old days and like we do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy,
ain't changed.
Has he offered you employment yet?
No, not yet. I'm waiting on what the money might be.
Why do you think?
George, I'll tell you this. That's a talented young man right there.
Oh, he is.
I think Billy's going to the live tour, George. He's taking the live tour.
Great line.
Billy, if you can get some of that Saudi money, let me know, brother. I'm all in. I'll sell out tomorrow.
I'll keep you posted.
Both of you. I'm in. Tony, thank you as always.
Hey, it's my pleasure, man. It's a real blessing.
Great
guys.
stuff.
Have a great time.
Tony Basilio joining us from Knoxville. Big game tonight, and I think he's hit it perfect. Tennessee's got to get to LSU early, and if they get into that bullpen, it could be bombs away without Atlanta GA.
Gosh,
Yeah.
stop.
Okay.
Stop.
After the break, since he brought it up, I'm going to do a little reminiscing about some hard throwers in my lifetime, which goes back a little farther than most of yours. Let's talk a little Music City Grand Prix. You see, the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is August the 4th through the 6th. I was talking with Liz Allison earlier today. I'm excited. I've never been to one of these, but I have heard such great things from other people who had never been to one of these that I'll admit I'm fired up. So the tickets have been on sale now for a good month and a half, and you can go all the way from general admission all the way up to a lot of amenities. There's a big range of options for you. Go to musiccitygp.com. Again, that is musiccitygp.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donley Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donley have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
So, Kelly, while you and Tony Basilio were talking things like, radar gun kind of stuff, intimidation, college pitchers, I got to thinking, when I was in college, I got the chance to do a couple of years of minor league baseball while I was still in college, and it was a wonderful education. The 3 hardest throwers that I saw back then, Randy Johnson was an Indianapolis Indian. Now, he didn't know where it was going.
No.
At that point, he had no clue. Rob Dibble, who later became a really good closer with the Reds. The third one was a future Cy Young Award winner, Steve Bedrosian, who started out with the Atlanta Braves, but won the Cy Young, I want to say in '87 with Philly. Kelly, the couple more that I'm going to bring up. I sat behind home plate at Turner Field one night within about 8 to 10 rows. And Cincinnati brings in Aroldis Chapman, who had had a couple of days rest. And he hit 104 on the gun. And I remember thinking, holy crap, I've never seen anything like this. Now, I would claim the most feared pitcher, and it's a shame we never really got to see it play out, besides Nolan Ryan, would have been J.R. Richard in Houston, James Rodney Richard. And he had a stroke, was never the same after that. That was a real shame. Those are the guys. I thought J.R. Richard was the most intimidating because he was 6'8".
Yeah.
And he just, oh my goodness. He was a no-hit threat anytime he was out there.
Yeah, I'm sure Billy and David have no clue who those guys are. But when I saw Rob Dibble pitch the first time, that scared me through the TV. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then the night that Randy Johnson was in the All-Star game and John Kruk got up there and he threw one over the catcher's head, and John Kruk got up there on the other side of the plate and turned his helmet backwards. He wanted none of that because Randy Johnson had gained a little bit of control, but he always had those 1 or 2 pitches in a game that just went wild.
Yes.
Crazy. I remember guys like Dennis Eckersley too. I mean, Dennis Eckersley was really good. He wasn't an overthrower, but he wasn't like those guys. But it's amazing what that Paul Skeens kid is doing. Like, to be a starting pitcher and to throw over 40-something pitches over 100 miles per hour. And just like Tony said, he threw 124 pitches and his 122nd pitch was over 100. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy how, Billy and I have grown up in the age of, harder throwing pitchers all the way across the board. Jordan Hicks for the Cardinals now throws 105, and it's like, okay, we just expected to keep on getting faster and faster. What's crazy is me and Billy have this little argument going. Is Skeens even going to be the first player taken in the draft this year? Billy thinks so, but I think Pittsburgh is going to go position player, and I think they're going to take his teammate in Dylan Cruz, who's been compared to Bryce Harper in the outfield. So it's really different at the major league level. Who do you take? Because do you take a guy who plays every single day like a position player, or a pitcher who pitches once every 5 days?
I'm taking the pitcher.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't know how you pass on Skeens at number 1. I mean, Dylan Cruz is phenomenal. He's a great player. He hasn't really done much in Omaha, but he's hitting over 400. He's a great player. But after seeing Skeens down the stretch here as a GM and an organization, I just don't know how you pass up that.
You got to think, though, at some point he's going to have an arm injury as well. So that takes into account he's going to be gone a year and a half from your organization as well.
Injuries can happen to everybody. I mean, you can't be worried about an injury. If you like a guy, you're going to take a guy. I don't know what happens, but
yeah, you guys know this though. George, you know this. I mean, you're a baseball aficionado. I mean, you got to have pitching.
Yeah.
And when you got a pitcher like him, that's kind of I don't know if he may be a generational guy. Like, it kind of looks that way right now. I mean, the guy looks like a tight end. He's so big, and he's so just like Tony was talking about. He can play any position on the field, and he's just that good of an athlete. But that's where it is in Major League Baseball. If you got pitching, you got it.
My biggest worry in it, and this is going to sound like some doting old grandfather, but I worry about pitchers who are at this age hitting 100 plus 35 to 40 times in a game. I don't think you need that.
Yeah.
I think, one of the best out there is Justin Verlander. And one of the things I really like about him, he'll give you a lot of 93 and 94 until it gets to crunch time. And then all of a sudden he'll have a little extra in the tank and give you 97 and 98. I worry about the kids that are throwing 100 that are max effort on every pitch. That's the one thing I worry about with him.
Well, and the slight difference in the college atmospheres, you get a lot of juiced up, tight-knit atmospheres in those stadiums, and the kids are fired up. They're ready to go. And I think they get some coaching in the bigs and they settle down for a long season. I think you see a lot of it. And they, as coaches in the big leagues, you should be settling these guys down,
Okay, after the break, we're going to go stat of the day, and then a story that I don't think has gotten a lot of play, but Tom Watson, who I think he and Jack Nicklaus are probably the senior, kind of godfathers of golf. Tom Watson has blasted off in an open letter to the commissioner, Jay Monahan. I'm going to read you a little bit of it to start the 3 o'clock hour. So stick around. We're coming back.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615 832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. It is time for Saturday on this rainy Tuesday here in Nashville. Saturday presented to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards, located in Shelbyville, Tennessee. 204 East Depot Street is where you can find them. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So give them a call at 931-492-4304. We're going down to the Bayou about a guy we talked about a lot today, Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is the second pitcher in SEC history to record over 200 strikeouts in a single season. He's 3 strikeouts away from breaking the current record held by what former SEC pitcher?
Kelly, do you want me to get the answer right?
I think I know the answer as well. Is he an LSU guy as well?
Yeah, it's Ben McDonald.
Yeah,
Correct.
Ben McDonald.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, we got one.
They watched. There we go. They watched the broadcast last night. It is Ben McDonald.
Now you don't know that.
We knew that anyway.
Oh, okay.
Don't be a
Okay,
hater.
George, stop acting like you didn't watch this game last
You've
night.
made an assumption.
Well, they
here.
mentioned it on the broadcast. I'm sure that it refreshed your memory a little bit.
Well, let me put it this way, okay? I am capable with my little clicker. Oh, by the way, was that thunder?
We are getting some major thunderstorms right now.
Man.
I just got it.
Ooh.
Now, Kelly, did you know, or did you just watch the game last night and find out?
I knew that.
Honestly,
Ben McDonald's a household name.
I
He's
spent
pretty
most
good.
of the
He's
night.
pretty good, man. Like that's the only guy that's the only guy. Here's the deal. Here's why I knew it. It's the only guy I could think of in the Southeastern Conference that had done what he's done.
Go back to that question a minute. You know, one that you could have maybe thought about was David Price.
Yeah, or Tim Hudson at Auburn.
Tim Hudson at Auburn was one. I
The
did
only guy
hear
I
it
knew
on the
was Ben
broadcast.
McDonald. Sorry.
Although, let me say this. I spent most of the night watching one of the most fun baseball teams. I'm kind of getting into the Reds.
The Cincinnati Reds.
They're fun.
SVP was talking about them after the game.
They are
and,
fun.
I mean, they're on ESPN now. They'll probably be on Sunday night here in a few weeks. Fun to watch.
Been a while since they've had.
I mean, they
fun.
won 9 straight.
Yeah.
So let me tell y'all where I'm going here for just a few minutes. If you think the PGA LIV thing has died down, I'm not sure it has.
No.
I have thought all along that Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA, will end up getting shown the door, and I absolutely continue to believe that. So Tom Watson, who I would consider kind of right there with Jack Nicklaus, the godfathers of the sports right now, he wrote, and it got sent to me, basically an open letter to Monahan that's just this side of War and Peace. I can't read all of it, but I'm going to read a couple of highlights. While I wasn't in the player meeting on Tuesday, June the 6th, for Jay's PIF partnership tour announcement, I've watched enough to know that it was certainly unlike any of the player meetings I've been involved in my 50-plus years as a member of the tour. The commissioner and the PGA Tour Board, on which 5 tour players sit, are going to have to do a lot of firsthand explaining to comfortably coax acceptance with our membership on this partnership with the PIF, which I guess is another deal for LIV. The tour stakeholders, the players themselves, the broad span of global media, as well as the tournament sponsors and independent tour partners, will require an explanation of the benefits of forming this partnership. There are many unanswered questions today, which I hope will be addressed with the players by tour management at this week's Travelers Tour event. What does acceptance of this partnership mean to the tour? What do we get? What do we give up? Why was this deal done in such secrecy? And why wasn't even one of the players who sits on the tour's policy board included? A matter this profound deserves thorough vetting by a representative group of stakeholders, which include those who, in the end, define the public image and emotional connection with the PGA Tour. Wow. And let me say this.
I like that a lot.
Hey, there's a lot more. Let me show you how far I have to scroll before he finishes. That is a big old scroll. That is a long letter he wrote. So, Kelly, first thing out of the chute, the players are pissed. The ones who have sat on the PGA Tour and didn't bolt, they feel like they've been screwed over, and I agree with them.
Yeah, I read that letter. He's to the point in that letter. There's no question about that. And you can tell that he's upset. He don't understand why it happened. And yeah, the first meeting they had, they said that the players were pissed, and they're going to be pissed at the Travelers. It's just a deal where They tried to convince those guys not to go. It was a money grab. And then Tom Watson talked about it in his letter, talking about, he's proud of the guys that stayed, that didn't take the money. It wasn't all about the money to them, and they kept their honor and they stayed on the PGA Tour. So for a guy of his status to come out and say something like that, that's pretty big, George, and it's going to get a lot of people talking about that.
To me, Nicklaus would be the only of the older guys that have now retired. It would be Nicklaus and Watson, and then Tiger on the tour right now. I mean, you've gotten one of the big three who is one of the most thoughtful, not likely to stir it up kind of people, and he went off in that letter.
No, he absolutely did. He went off in that letter, but everything he said is valid in that letter. And he even talked about the Saudis and talking about 9/11 and all that stuff, and how I'm sure the families are upset about that stuff. But George, it's the way that society has become. Nobody really cares about feelings anymore. And I'm not a big feely guy either, but when you got a situation like that and you're getting money from that, that's just kind of hard for me. And I'll be honest with you. I was telling my wife last night, I go to Costco and they've got Greg Norman stuff out there. And he's got great stuff. He's got great apparel. He's got great stuff, but I just can't do it. I don't, and that's probably stubborn on my part and dumb I just can't do it though. I was happy for Brooks Koepka when he won the PGA championship. I get it. I mean, they're players. And the thing about it is, George, they learn how to play professional golf on the PGA Tour. So the PGA Tour still can stick their chest out about that, but I just don't like the way all that was done. And when you come and you grab like that, he said that in the letter, you coming and swiping guys out of the PGA Tour to get on the Live Tour. It's not a good look, and it's not a good look for those guys. I know everything is about money. I get it. But that's just not a good look to me, and I'm sure there's a lot more people that feel like myself.
Am I wrong in asking, has the golf product as a whole slipped because of a lot of this drama? People are kind of sick of, because I can't really put a finger on it. I don't know. There's just, even the U.S. Open this weekend didn't feel like there was a ton of buzz like there usually is. Is it that Tiger's gone? I mean, I can't put a finger on it.
Okay, that's certainly one piece of it. Whatever you may be feeling about it, that's certainly one piece. When he's not there, your marquee ratings driver is no longer in the building.
So you think that's a big part?
I think it's some of it for sure. But here's the other thing. I cannot remember one time as LIV got started that anybody said, who won the LIV event this week? Nobody gave a damn about the LIV other than they were stirring up all this crap. They were getting a lot of attention, but the actual tournaments, I don't know who won, and don't really care. Here's what I don't understand, and this is where y'all need to help me. Okay, if I'm Monahan, and I've been a sneak to begin with in pulling this deal off, and if he were here, he'd say, George, it was the only way we could pull it off. And he now has it's slipped out that the PGA Tour didn't think they could afford, that they could not financially deal with the kind of lawsuit stuff that was going to happen. And so they took, the road that they felt like they had. Okay, if I'm Monahan, I've had this one meeting the day it got out with players, and clearly that didn't go real well. If I'm Monahan, I would have been on the first plane to wherever their event was that week. And on Wednesday night before it started, if it took 4 hours, I'd have been in there in a meeting with those players if it took 4 hours. Now, it would have been the meeting from hell, but we'd have gotten it out then and there. And I don't see that he's done that, Kelly, and I don't get that.
Yeah, and that's a good point you brought up because I don't understand that either. I don't understand a guy like Phil Mickelson who's made $500 million off the PGA Tour. And I'm sure he's disgruntled about some things. He thought that there should be more money, and that's what LIV has offered. They've offered more money, but that guy's made such a living on the PGA Tour, George. It's just it's just hard for us to fathom why they did what they did. I can understand Jay Monahan's deal, but he should have been up front with the guys, and that's what you're saying. He should have been up front with those guys. You cannot go into a lawsuit. I don't care how big the PGA Tour is. You cannot go into a lawsuit with those Saudis like that. They've got they've got so much money that you're going to lose. That's just part of it. And I don't even know what the specifications of the lawsuit were. I don't understand any of that stuff. I hadn't paid attention to that stuff, but I just didn't like it when it happened. I still don't like it. I still have kind of a bitter taste in my mouth. They even talked about it about Sergio Garcia the other day. Paul Azinger brought it up when they span the camera over there to him, talking about how he took a hit with his, with what's going on. He's took a hit with his fans because.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just everybody's going to play the game. Everybody still loves Phil. Everybody loves Brooks and Dustin Johnson and all that. But there's still that layer where, yeah, but you did that. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah. It's like being a replacement player.
Yeah.
In the NFL, there's a stigma around it that you can't get rid of.
No doubt.
No
doubt. And just like the little simple thing going to Costco. Greg, I've always bought his stuff. I like his stuff. He's got good golf stuff, but I just can't do it now. That's probably bad on me, but I can't do it.
Well, I also think it would not hurt some of the guys that jumped if a couple of them held a press conference and said, you know what, upon further review, I screwed up. I shouldn't have done this.
I think if you look at Brooks Koepka, they were supposedly to wear their LIV gear. You see all the aces and all that stuff they were supposed
to.
Well, you saw Brooks when he's played in the PGA Championship in last week, he wore his Nike stuff.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Does that mean that I really didn't want to do it, but they threw this at me? So I don't know. It's just it's a tough deal. It's probably going to get worse here before it gets better.
You are right about that. As the Carpenters said in a song, we have only just begun.
That's right.
Look it up, Billy. You didn't expect that one, did you?
That was a good line.
Yeah, it was a good line. We'll go to the break. Our man, Jeff Him, standing by at First Horizon Park, where my guess is they got some of the same weather we got. They're dodging a few raindrops, but it's been a good weekend for the Sounds. We'll talk with Jeff about that when we come back.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615 847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
We are back. We're headed out to the ballpark in just a moment. First Horizon Park was one busy stadium last week. 6-game series with Gwinnett drew, and I may be off by 1,000, something like 55,000 over 6 games. Am I close?
57,998.
Amazing. That's some turnstile on the minor league level. That is clicking big time.
And that's proven something to some of the major league teams or whoever is in control of putting a team in Nashville. That's good proof that, hey, they can pack a stadium.
It's pretty impressive. Let's bring Jeff Himm, Sounds play-by-play announcer, to our microphones for his weekly visit. So the turnstiles were clicking.
It's a great week. It was we've had big crowds here since this place opened, so that part of it is not a surprise. But to your point, George, something about last week just felt, I don't know, bigger, better. I don't know if it's probably the combination of the fact that the team won all 6 games. 2 of the 3 games over the weekend were not just walk-offs, but walk-off homers. It's a very special thing in any sport at any level when the action on the field matches the energy in the stands, because in all kinds of sports, those two things do not always match up. You can have a quiet crowd and a great game. You can have a big crowd and the team doesn't respond on the field. And so it felt like a really special week because of the weather and the Father's Day component, and just, Gwinnett being here, and we know about the Braves contingent, which we've talked about in the past, and then for the Sounds to play as well as they did, to get a guy like Sal Frelick back in the lineup. Bryce Terang is down for however long until the Brewers feel like he's ready to go back. And then walk-offs and walk-off homers, like it just all came together in a pretty special way. It was an amazing week, and now we're home again this week against a really good Norfolk Tides team with a loaded Baltimore farm system. I was just looking before we came on, George. The Orioles had 8 of the top 100 prospects in the game, according to MLB.com's rankings. Half of that 8 is on this Tides roster. So Baltimore's already good at the major league level, and they've got more coming. So I'm excited to see, from an on-field standpoint, if last week's Sounds performance carries over, and this is kind of one of those measuring stick type series, because we haven't seen these guys, as far as Norfolk goes, since the second homestand of the year back in April, and the two teams split that series. But 2 months in a AAA calendar is like a decade as far as the roster turnover. So we'll see what this week has in store.
Jeff, I'm going to go back to the attendance thing for a second. What really caught my eye was something you told me. I was out there Thursday and Friday, and I knew when we got to the weekend, they were going to be very close to double digits. But when you told me it was like 8,000 plus on Wednesday, which traditionally in a Tuesday to Sunday, Wednesday would be your second worst draw, that's impressive.
And that is in a large aerial view. That's the difference between Greer Stadium and First Horizon Park, in the sense of the weekends at Greer Stadium were always pretty good. At least in my time with the Sounds, I did the last 3 years at Greer. If you had a good Friday night, Saturday night, as far as weather and the schedule and where you're at in the calendar, Greer Stadium was a great place to be as far as how it would draw. What makes the Sounds the league leader in the minor leagues in home attendance the last 2 years is that you don't see the dramatic drop-off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from what you see Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this past week would be exhibit A of that. Yeah, over 7,000 on the Tuesday, over 8,000 were here on the Wednesday. Our Throwback Thursday crowds are always pretty good. Our last couple of Sundays have been great, including this past Sunday. So when you're seeing 8,000 on a Wednesday, you are doing a lot of things right. And the Sounds front office staff deserves a lot of credit for reaching out to the community the way they do. In minor league baseball, there are certain days in the calendar that sort of sell themselves. 4th of July and even to a degree Father's Day and opening day and some of those things. But you don't lead the minor leagues in total home attendance for 2 years running without the ability to know who your audience is and how to reach them for 75 games, not just the 4 to 5 that everybody around the country is going to do pretty well on.
It's very impressive. Pass on our congrats to Adam English and the entire staff, because they obviously are doing some things really well, getting a lot of groups. They appear to have honed in on what the market is for them, and it's awesome. It was really fun to watch over the weekend. Now, you brought up Bryce Terang. I was surprised when he got sent back down here. He had some really good moments with Milwaukee early. What are you hearing on that?
Well, the key word you said is early. This is not he was struggling in the big leagues all season. This was a more recent offensive slide that he had gone into. The defense was there all along. He's not made a single error in the big leagues yet. His speed helped them win a lot of games, even if he was not getting a ton of hits. It was just more recent. The offense had tapered a little bit, and they were getting some guys back. And so they had to make room, and Terang's struggles, combined with the fact that one of the guys they got back recently was Willie Adames off the concussion list. He and Bryce both play shortstop. Now, Terang, when Willie was fully healthy, was playing a lot of second base because of the presence of Willie Adames. But when you play some of the same positions, Luis Urias, too, had come back. When you play some of the same positions as the guys who are coming off the injured list, and you're not performing at a level where they feel like you need to stay, they'll send you down. And that's what happened with Bryce. We all know the talent's there. The Brewers know that. And I think I said this at one point in a recent show, they could have kept Terang and found a way to maybe have him be the defensive replacement type guy, a pinch running situation late, maybe a pinch hit every now and then. Bryce is an everyday big leaguer. He's a future everyday big leaguer. The better decision, as disappointing as I'm sure it was, I know it was for Bryce to come down, the better long-term play is to find his full value by getting him right offensively to go with the defense and the speed. And when you bring him back, you hope that he's a guy you can plug back into the lineup every day because he's got that kind of talent. If they viewed him long-term as just kind of a gap filler once or twice a week, he probably would still be up there, but he's got every tool you could possibly want to be a very good major league ball player. So I think they felt like they could send him down. You take the pressure off down here. It's just a different environment. Get him back with a hitting coach in the Sounds, Al LaBeouf, who's very familiar with Bryce, and get him going a little bit and get him back. And we've already seen him hit a few home runs. And it's not just the result of the home run. He's been hitting balls hard pretty consistently. And that's what you like to see when a guy comes down. I don't know if he's going to be gone tomorrow, 4 weeks from now, somewhere in between. but he is an everyday major league caliber player. And it's interesting, when a guy gets optioned, and I'm sure you've seen this the last couple of years with some Braves, George. A guy gets optioned, and there's kind of a shock value, and the fan in you is like, well, man, is this guy not going to pan out? Mike Trout got optioned 3 different times in his first 12 months in the big leagues. I told Bryce this the other day, and I'm sure he didn't really want to hear it because I'm not thrilled that he's down here. It would be a bigger surprise if he never got optioned, because very few guys in the history of the game get to the big leagues and never see AAA again. It's just how hard it is up there, how good they are up there, and how hard it is to stick. But I don't pretend to be a scout, but man, I've seen enough of Bryce Terang's game the last year and a half. He's a big leaguer all the way, and we'll just take it however long he's a sound. We will reap the benefits down here in the win column, but I hope for him that he's back in the big league soon.
Yeah, and he will be. This is not his last visit to Milwaukee. No. Kelly, what do you got for Jeff?
Well, I was just thinking that the Stripers, they swept the Stripers. Isn't that bad for you, George? Isn't Gwinnett like the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves?
Truthfully, I mean, if you, I know what you're trying to do. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you the way it is. Their everyday lineup has nobody that other than Shoemake who might be in Atlanta. They've got a couple of pitchers, but for the most part, Kelly, they've emptied this whole Gwinnett thing up in Atlanta in the last 2-3 years. So I know you were trying to stir it up.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to think, did they suck or did the Sounds just play well? Which is it, Jeff?
I think it might be a little bit of both,
Jeff,
Kelly.
When you did games with him, did you have to put up with this crap?
No, because we were doing football. Kelly was, he had his slippers on. He was comfortable. He was in his environment on that.
Hey, that was the game that we had to fill a bunch. We had to stay up there for like 40 minutes. So we were just talking.
We did, yeah. We were doing a state championship football game that the previous game had run long, but Kelly and I had to go on the air at the same time either way. And, we just talked football for 25 minutes. It was fantastic.
Jeff helped me out a bunch. There's no question about that. He is very proficient in broadcast analyzing. There's no question.
Stop that. I'm the play-by-play guy. I know my lane. I set you up to tell us what's happening on the field and why, my friend. That's my job.
What a good play-by-play guy does. And then you have a clown like myself that comes up there and he can just try to explain the game to folks, like George. George has been in the radio business, so there's something to, what I'm saying? I mean, it's not hard. It's not that hard.
George and I have the radio faces, Kelly. You were made for TV, man.
Oh, no question.
Here we go.
No question.
I need some Jim Just for Men that Joe Theismann gave me. I told those guys that a couple of weeks ago when I did a Sunday night game, and it was Joe Theismann, and I don't know if it's Mike Tirico, Susie Colbert was there, but he just couldn't get over my gray hair, so he decided to send me some Just for Men. I didn't really appreciate that.
No, did you use it?
I did not, because my hair just laughed at it.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I tried some other product. I didn't use his Just for Men, but I tried some other product and it didn't work. So my deal is this. Let's get back on the attendance thing. Is there a better? I don't know if there would be a better city in the country to watch a baseball game, minor leagues, than in Nashville. But are there other venues that are up there with Nashville in attendance?
Yeah, there are. I mean, we go to some of them. Charlotte's got a beautiful ballpark there right next to where the Panthers play in the Uptown area. Beautiful ballpark. There are a couple. In a 20-team league, there are a few cities in this league the Sounds are in that I've not been to and have not been to their ballparks. But everybody raves about Buffalo.
Really?
And, of course, they hosted the Blue Jays during COVID. And, that park was built with the idea of being expandable potentially someday for a major league team. So it's got a true full-fledged upper deck there. And when they fill that place, it's pretty special. I've not been there before. There are some great ones in the league the Sounds used to be in, the Pacific Coast League. Albuquerque routinely draws on their sellout nights 11, 12,000 people. Sacramento's a great ballpark that we used to go to in our previous league. So the Sounds are not the only ones drawing sellouts. I think to the point we were talking about earlier, I think that when you minimize the drop off to the quote unquote non-prime nights and you're still drawing really, really well, that's where your numbers don't have that kind of drop off that other markets, and not even the ones that I just mentioned, they do well on those nights too. But I think that's where you can have a greater disparity around the minor leagues, like from single A or double A, when the parks aren't as big, and a Tuesday night, you've only got a couple thousand there, versus at the AAA level, generally bigger city, bigger market, bigger potential crowds. And then on those Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and in the old format, some Mondays, you're not seeing, as George likes to say, sections available. You're doing pretty well even on those nights, in addition to the nights that everybody wants on the minor league schedule, like a July 4th or Memorial Day weekend or an opening day or something like that. So that's what we see a lot here at First Horizon Park and some of the other spots around the league that we go to, or other AAA teams, where you're getting 9,000, 10,000 on the weekends, and that's not a surprise. That's expected. That's the bar, and it's pretty cool to have that kind of a bar set. I think it speaks to the popularity of the game. I think it speaks to the popularity of what these front offices do around the country to promote their teams and to fill their stadiums. It's a 75 game home schedule. It's, like I said, anybody can sell out their 4th of July. It'd be a shock if you didn't. A lot of people want to go to games on that night, but when you're creating the demand and giving people a great time at the ballpark on a Wednesday in April, in addition to the 4th of July, that's when you've got it. And that's where I'm not taking any credit of this, but I'm proud to be on the Sounds team in the front office, where we've got the kind of group that can make sure people in this market are getting the experience that they get 75 times a year.
So you see the little smirk on my face. So I'm about to ask you an outlandish question. This is one of these crazy questions. So on all these,
we need this segment sponsored. Can we get like a spot of like Kelly? All these Zanies to sponsor the Zanies Kelly question.
We could do that. Or something. We could do that. George, get Billy and David on that. We could do that.
We'll work on that.
What do you got, Kelly?
So all these places, if you got places where you go, where you've got to go eat, please don't tell me you sit in the hotel and you eat the team meal. Please tell me you go out to eat.
Yeah, this is pro baseball. There is no team meal. Your meal, okay. You find your meal. And that's part of why. Yeah, and that's part of why I love. What do you go ahead, George? I know you want to jump in.
Kelly has no idea, does he, George?
Well, hey, I'm just going off football, because when we get in there at football, we have team meals. So I was hoping that Jeff wasn't a cheapskate where we'd have a team meal.
I might still. Hold on, no. I might still be a cheapskate, but I am finding my own meal to be a cheapskate with. No, I mean, look, a lot of the players will eat before the game and after the game at the ballpark, but there still are opportunities, whether you're the play-by-play guy or somebody on the team, whether it's breakfast or lunch, what have you. Part of the fun part of getting to go on the road with the team is exploring some of these other cities where you can find a good place to eat. That's not something that you can get in any other city. That's part of what I try to do when we go on the road. I think you asked me in a previous week, what's life like on the road? That's part of it. It's like, where can I go that's good that I can't go to in this other city that we're about to go to? So that's one of the fun things about going on the road.
If you go to Indianapolis, you've got to go to St. Elmo's. Have you been to St. Elmo's? Sure.
I've not been to St. Elmo's. I've found a lunch spot called Cafe Potachu in Indianapolis. I shouldn't say found it. It's very well known, but I can say that after a recommendation, I found it myself firsthand and enjoyed it. St. Elmo's, I might. It just sounds expensive, Kelly. If I could borrow your credit card,
you got it, big dog. And somebody from the team will pay for you, and you got to get the shrimp. You got to get the shrimp cocktail.
Okay. And if
they make it with real horseradish, and it's really hot, man. Like if you got sinus issues and you dump a bunch on there, it'll clear you out really quick.
This is not the NFL, okay? He's not getting NFL money.
We go there early August, and I'm excited to walk in and say, yeah, Kelly Holcomb sent me.
Don't say that. Hey, don't say that, because they don't know me anymore.
They'll toss you out.
Get him out of here.
Oh, my goodness.
We don't know who the hell you're talking about. I can hear it.
Yeah,
okay.
Great.
We got to get the weather out of here for tonight. 7:05, 6:35?
6:35.
6:35. Okay.
Yep. This field drains so well, I
Yep.
always presume we're going to play. I have every expectation we'll play because this field can take 10 inches of rain per hour. And what was already falling earlier today has pretty much dried up. I know there might be more coming, but we'll get this in. I'm
Pretty
confident.
amazing.
You can
Yeah.
book it.
Very nice. Wow.
Nice.
You came loaded for bear today, didn't you?
Hey, when you're going to talk to Kelly Holcomb, man, you got to be ready for anything.
No question. Be prepared for the worst.
I didn't say worst. I just said anything.
No, I did.
Okay.
Listen, thank you for doing this. See you out there.
All right, guys. See you soon.
See you, brother.
Good stuff. Jeff Him, play-by-play voice of the Nashville Sounds. Listen, his business card may say minor league baseball announcer. That guy is a major league talent.
He's
I've
really
been saying
good.
that he is very good.
Yeah, he's really good. That football game I did with him, he's really good. And just we call the coach, we call the coaches, and he's very organized, very good. I really enjoyed working with him. I'm sure I'll get to do it again, hopefully.
We'll go to the break, and then we'll have Plaster Bet of the Day coming up next.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to AlacoFineWoodFloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Welcome back in. It's a Tuesday here on the George Plaster Show. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, Kel, let's check out what happened last night for George. Another win. Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
The Cincinnati Reds get it done.
Oh, yeah.
George of the jungle. I see it.
4 games over 500 now.
Getting there.
Nice.
Slowly but surely. What's the cutoff here? Because if you get a certain amount of games above 500, there's no way you
Well,
would
it'd be
finish
like
below
the magic number.
Yeah, I wonder. We got to
don't
figure
know.
out your magic number.
I don't know.
We
If I
still
take
got-
enough vacation,
You're
we
gonna
could
take a few more days.
We could
If
make
you-
this.
I wouldn't
If you
leave
get-
Billy. I wouldn't leave Billy to picking your games if I were you, George.
Oh no, I've made very clear that what he does, first of all, nobody should pay any attention to. You have a 333 winning percentage.
But what if I were to have gone 3-0?
Then we might have talked. We might have included
yeah.
it. Yeah. I mean,
There's
it's
a little bit of
fun.
that.
Look, it's a little phony.
It's a little phony.
It is. I mean, I'm not denying it. So the Reds last night, that was a struggle.
Yeah.
And frankly, Joey Votto is the reason they won. Guy hadn't played in 10 months with a rotator cuff surgery, hits a 2-run homer, gets a big 2-out base knock for a couple of RBIs. You know, there's something about Cincinnati in a really bad division. They might win that division.
It's anybody's game right now.
I like what I see up there. What I really like is that's a great fan base that has had nothing to root for a good while. And last night, because I watched a bunch of it, that's the most enthusiastic midweek crowd I've seen in that place in a good while.
You give that city and that town a baseball team to root for?
That'll be just fine.
Oh, yeah.
So guess where we're going tonight, Kelly?
I'm sure the same thing. George, how old were you when Charlie Hustle and those guys, the Big Red Machine, was rolling? Were you a fan?
Yeah, well, no, I was a Braves fan, and it was embarrassing because the Big Red Machine was up here.
Oh, yeah.
And the Braves were god-awful. I mean, it was, it was
bottom of the barrel.
The dregs of society.
Yes.
And they'd roll into Atlanta. There was, Kelly, in 1976, a Braves team that lost 100. The first year that Ted Turner bought the team. They play a Saturday night twilight doubleheader in Atlanta, and I forced my dad, who hated baseball, to take me.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, the Braves won the opening game 5-4, and I'm, little Georgie's all excited. We're going to sweep the Big Red Machine. They turned Don Gullett loose in game 2, final score 9-1. But as was the case everywhere they went, 51,000 people there.
Yeah.
And the Braves weren't drawing flies. And to get 51,000, it had to be the Big Red Machine. And think about it. Bench, Hall of Famer. Tony Perez, Hall of Famer. The late Joe Morgan, Hall of Famer. Davey Concepcion, Hall of Fame. Pete Rose, well, we know about that one. George Foster in left. Cesar Geronimo in center. Ken Griffey in right. It is the most intimidating baseball team of my lifetime.
They were good.
They were really good. They didn't have
good.
great pitching. They didn't need great pitching.
Your bats are that good.
Ooh.
You just pitch solid. You're fine.
So guess where we're going tonight, Kelly?
I would say the Reds.
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
You're really not a Rockies guy, are you?
No, first of all, I think it's a really tough franchise to win with because balls fly out at home. They score a lot of runs, but then when they go on the road, they don't get anything done. Yeah. And I would contend you can't get a free agent pitcher to sign in Colorado because it's a death sentence. Colorado, I mean, Denver's a great city, but that is a very tough market to win in.
Yeah, and you got to think about that as a pitcher. You would never think about that, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Just balls fly out of that play. I wouldn't want to pitch there.
The late Darryl Kyle signed there as a free agent. Mike Hampton, who later was a Brave, signed there, and virtually nobody else from free agency. Anyway, I know we're out of time. Kelly, behave. We'll do this again soon.
See ya.
Hope all of you enjoyed the show today. If you're watching it live, it's raining. See you tomorrow.